everyone, it's me, Kyle, DJK, and today we are going to be looking at the Citroen Berlingo Van Driver Edition, 100 brake horsepower. Now, this is the van that I have, and you're going to see my review. We're going to kind of go over the external, interior, what it's like to drive, which I will openly admit, obviously, is not my forte, but we're going to go over it briefly. And most importantly, we're going to talk about the technology and the kind of the cool electric side of things that the vehicle has. So let's get into it, and by into it I mean let's take a look at the outside, shall we? I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet. So the van itself, obviously we've got this in the kind of grey colour here. You can see the nice alloys. It is what it is at the end of the day, guys. It's a van. It's not going to win any awards for the world's best looking vehicle, but at the same time, it's far from ugly. It's got the shape of van like you'd expect. It kind of has those nice lines and angles. Obviously, the look of it with this colour, I like. There are some not so nice colours, white maybe, that perhaps you might not be a fan of. I like this colour. It works well for me. Obviously, it's very boxy, but that's the design. It's got to be boxy to fit everything in. But it does what it needs to do. Obviously, being the driver spec, it does have these nice alloys, but as you can kind of see, they get pretty dirty very easily. But that's not too much of a problem. You can kind of get them cleaned and look after it well. As I say, the van itself, it's not an amazing looker. It's never going to win any awards for the best looking van around, but it's certainly not going to lose them. It looks like a van because that's what it is at the end of the day, guys, right? It's definitely not something that you're going to stand there and be all impressive like, and you're not going to go to car meets with it and go, look how snazzy my van is. But at the same time, you're not embarrassed to be seen in it. It does what it needs to do. And yeah, I think as vans go, it's quite good. I'm definitely impressed by it. So as we jump into the back of the van, it's a standard double door system as such, which gives you that much loading space. Protected, it's obviously got a handle there when you trap yourself in. This version comes with this boot lining, normally just like that underneath, which is great, but as you can kind of see, it's taken some abuse from the various flight cases and everything, and bits of like tree and stuff. And this bulkhead does get a bit marked up, as you can kind of see. Obviously it depends what you're carrying, but where I'm carrying flight cases, obviously there's metal bits hitting against metal bits. Now, the space in here is very big. This is obviously a bit movable, because obviously it would look like that on the other side. The space here is good. I can fit all my DJing stuff in here. I tried to fit a fridge in here, I couldn't, but the space itself is good. The load lip is perhaps a little bit low for my taste. Sorry, a bit awkward for my taste, as I have caught it a couple of times, and this little latch is a bit annoying. But apart from that, guys, the space is good. Lots of little avenues for you to put your stuff in, lots of space to work with, and yeah, all in all, it's positive, guys. Now, obviously, one of the really cool things is that you've got this load through bulkhead, as they say. So that would come down, come off, and out the way. And as you can kind of see, that is the driver's side. So if we just quickly, sorry, the passenger side, if we quickly go here, if you needed the more space, we move my stuff out the way, we can just pull this lever up here, and it opens up a bit more loading space for us if we need to load long things. But more on the storage side of things in a bit. But yeah, the loading space, the inside, that point of view, is perfectly adequate. As I say, guys, considering it's a small van by standards, it does carry a lot in here. I've not had any problems with all my DJing stuff. Obviously that's what I care about from a DJing point of view. Can I fit everything in? The answer is yes, I can fit my biggest setup in. If you're looking at the videos of my stuff, it's the one from Halloween. There was a big setup there. I even had extra subs in there. I'm sorry, extra speakers in, and it all fit in the back there. A couple of things might have gone in the front. I think there was my trolley in the front, but apart from that, guys, it all fits. So yeah, you'll fit plenty of stuff in this. Let's have a little chat about inside, guys. So inside, obviously this is from the passenger side. It's a comfy, it's a nice space to be. It's relaxed, it's calm. Obviously for me in a passenger side, it's not quite as comfy as it is on the driver side. Obviously driver side, we've got nice seat bolstering. This side we don't. As you can see there, the difference in the seats. These are just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Church pew bench seats, which are fine for the purpose, but from a passenger side of view, while it's not uncomfortable, it's certainly not overly comfortable. Now, if we move over to the middle seat here, as you can see, I'm not exactly a giant, but I can't fit this foot here. It either has to straddle like this, and in which case you better hope you know the driver quite well, or you go to the other side, which then means your passenger's a bit more screw-whiffy here. It's not the most comfortable place to be as a passenger, but it does the job. And ultimately, you're not buying this for all the people kind of thing. You're buying this because it's a van, which that's a topic for another video. But yeah, this allows you to have all the space you kind of need here, here and here. And it looks a nice place to be. The dash is nice, the steering wheel's nice, the console's nice. Everything here is nice. It's just an attractive place to be. It's far from ugly. It's, yeah, of course, it's not your premium vehicle. Of course it isn't. But it's not trying to be. It's trying to be a van that's just a little bit more comfortable, and it nails that. The inside of this van is a really cool and nice place to be. So, apart from it just being a really nice place inside, there are a few things we're going to touch on the storage, because obviously we spoke about what's behind me. Let's talk about what storage inside's like. Firstly, above us, we've got this little kind of hold above us, which allows us to fit a few things in. I normally put a coat in there. That's where I normally do. This is my coat storage when I've got a jacket on me that I don't want to put anywhere else. Above us here, we've got a nice little glove box. I don't know, above steering wheel box, let's call it. We've actually got storage behind the screen. That's where my sunglasses and my glasses go. We've got an actual glove box which has got in it our USB and aux cable slots, and it's deep. That goes a long way. That's up to my elbow. That's deep. Two very generously sized cup holders, a little storage tray here, another glove box down there type thing. I normally put a big bottle there if I've got one, and then a tray here, which is where my phone goes when it's connected to Android Auto. That's just in front of us. That's a lot of storage space. The doors have got two gigantic pockets there, and there is one, nice and stored up. So that's everything you've kind of got in front of you, above you. There's lots and lots of storage in here. Now, if we take to our driver's side, as you can imagine, there is more here. We've got a tray underneath us, which goes quite far back, which is fairly standard. Now, if I shuffle myself into the driver's seat, let's have a look at what we've got over here. Firstly, we will take our passenger seat down. Pull this little blue cable here and pull this down. I'm gonna have to do it together, so sorry about the view. This slides down like so. We've then got a tray. So if we're sat here, we're bored, we've pulled over like we have now, and we want to work on our laptop, we've got a tray to do it. We can do it over there, we can do it here. This turns a little bit when it's all the way out, turns to the side, and gives us a bit of freedom as to where we want that. I don't really use it, but it's not really designed for me, but that's very helpful to have if you need it and want it. That goes back, this goes up, and we've got more storage underneath. Very helpful to put your food and your snacks on your long journey. That goes up like that, stays up there if I want it to, or pops down, so you would never know. Now, we've seen what this chair here does. We've seen that this chair will allow us to store it all the way down, which is here, pulls down, that goes flat. So someone could theoretically sit in this middle seat while you've got stuff there. Whether you do use the load through bulkhead or whether you don't, you just have that down. It gives you even more space up here to store stuff. We put it back up. It does it the other way as well. Under here is a little yellow lever, which will allow us to lift the seat up and gives us even more space again. We can store a lot of items there in this big space to the side. This van honestly is absolutely full of little storage spaces that are very helpful. This just clips back and drops down. We've got so many places to put things, so many places to store things, that it's really unbelievable. We've got under the chair, we've got above the chair, under the chair, above the chair, big door bins on both sides. We've got there, we've got the side, we've got on top, and we've got up here. That is a lot of storage. Not only is this whole inside and the whole interior really nice to be, really chill, it really reminds me of a car. It's car-esque. Yeah, it's not as nice as a car. Yes, it's very plasticky all over the place. Of course it is. It's not trying to be a luxury Audi or a luxury BMW. It's trying to be a van with a little bit more creature comforts, and for me, it nails that. So guys, we are now into the driving section of the video. Obviously we've seen what it's like on the outside, the inside, what's going on in the cockpit here with me. I say cockpit, cabin, whatever you want to call it. Now, driving. As I say, we're not going to go into the technological parts of it, obviously the little extras that you get with this driver edition. We're not going to touch them now. That's going to come in a little bit after we discuss the driving, and we're going to talk about all that tech later on, so stay tuned. However, from an actual driving perspective, how does it drive? What's the engine like? All of those sorts of questions. Now, I don't know how well you can see from the video, but right now we are cruising along, just hit a dual carriageway, and we're accelerating up. Now, this video, as I've said, is nowhere near shaped on this driving too much. I'm not a car reviewer, I'm not a driver, I am a technological nerd and DJ. So please take this bit with a bit of pinch of salt, because it's going to be my opinion driving the cars and the vans that I've previously driven. Okay guys? So, as we're driving along, now I obviously came from the Audi A1 background. That was my longest duration car. I had the little Audi A1. Now, going from that to a van was obviously a big change for me. When I was first driving this back from Leeds and everything, it was so much bigger than what I was used to. But that I quickly got over that. It's really not as big as people might be concerned about. If you're going from a car as a DJ, you've got an estate or something like that, and you're worried about going to a van because you're not sure how it's gonna drive or how you're gonna be able to drive it yourself, then don't panic too much, guys, because honestly, it's easy. It really is. This car is, oh my goodness, that was stupid. You do see a lot of fun stuff when you're doing these videos as you're driving, but we've got this, and yeah, it's the drive of it is so chill. It really doesn't feel out of the ordinary compared to what I was used to with my Audi. Sure, it's obviously not as nippy, it's obviously not as pokey as that, but from a driver's point of view, I wouldn't know I was driving a van. If you blindfolded me and told me to drive, I wouldn't know I was driving a van of this kind of size and shape and everything. It drives really naturally and really well. Yes, of course, the steering and all the acceleration isn't going to be as tight, as sharp as what you'd expect with a car. Of course it's not. Doesn't mean it's not a really good drive. So to elaborate on that, what I kind of mean is, I've obviously driven, my first car was a Nissan Micra, then we went to a Ford Fiesta, then my Audi A1. When I had my Audi, I drove Audi A1s, S1s, A3, S3, A4s, Q2s, those sort of cars. So the closest in shape is the Q2, but even that's smaller. But in terms of how it compares to them, yeah, obviously it drives a bit clunky and a bit bigger, but it's still sharp and on point. The steering is nice and light, it's nice and relaxed. So if I'm gonna go and overtake this guy now, if I just wham in, carry on, look and move and all that, it's just a gentle little move. The steering is tight, it's on point, it works, and I don't have to worry about forcing it around anywhere. I can just gently move the steering wheel, gently do what needs to be done, and it just does what I need to do. I'm not wrestling or fighting with this to get it to go anywhere. I just kind of gently go, yeah, we're going there now. Yeah, steering, very good. Brakes, obviously quite important being able to stop. Brakes are very nice, they work. They're obviously, if you're not used to driving a van, they are a bit of a shock, especially when there's no load in. Because you'll be driving along, you'll think, oh, I better brake, and all of a sudden you've stopped, because obviously the brakes are for when you've got a bigger load in the back. Now if I don't have a load in the back, which 90% of the time I don't, the brakes are very, very sharp, which is good because we like being able to stop. But if you're first getting used to it, that will take a little bit of time, guys. But yeah, I cannot fault them. They work as I would want, as they should. It's what I need in it. So yeah, steering good, steering tight, steering on point, brakes good, tight, sharp. Even with a full load, they work fantastically. Now, obviously you've got acceleration, which, again, it's a van, right guys? Don't be expecting to go from 0 to 60 like that. But it's smooth, it's consistent. Yeah, of course you're losing power at the top end of the revs. I've had cars where it kind of still just continues going. But yeah, you definitely notice it drop off quite a bit as you get to the higher range. But that doesn't mean I can't overtake people. I can't accelerate quickly away from something if I need to. Like we're flying past cars left, right and centre here without any sort of trouble in the world. I've done long drives with this, and yeah, and not once I kind of thought, oh blimey, I need a bit more power, because I know what it is and I know what I'm driving. Yeah, compare this to like an M4 or an M5 or something like that, of course it's slower. But I don't drive this and go, blimey, I need more speed. Far from it, guys. In terms of how does the clutch and the gears and everything feel, again, they're smooth as you like. I've managed to crunch them a couple of times because that's just not me not paying enough attention. But again, I can't fault the gears. I've driven, again, that Fiesta I drove, that was clunky as anything. But for me, the gears are nice, it's smooth. I'm not feeling like I'm having to force it in anywhere. It's literally just kind of there. Nice and smooth, nice and relaxed. In it goes. It's, yeah, as clean as you want. So yeah, all in all, guys, driving is very positive. Now, when I'm about to come up to a big hill here, and in my Micra, I struggle to go up this at times. So we're just going to turn you around and show you kind of where we're going. It might be a bit wobbly now, guys, but we're turning around. So we're going up this hill. It was a little bit emotional in the Micra at times. We've got cruise control on now. We've got it set to 70 miles an hour. So let's just see whether we drop, whether we overtake people. We're just going to move out of the way of this car who wants to go a little bit quicker than us. And yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. So we're still chilling at 70. We're not stopping here. It's raining quite heavily now. We've been overtaken by that guy who's obviously going quicker than 70. But we've got cars coming up, which we're going to now move out of the way. Again, we're getting warned by the warned by this, we're a little bit close. But then, yeah, we've just overtaken that people carrier, we're overtaking the Tesco lorry, we're still at 70 mile an hour, the revs haven't really changed, we're just pulling our way up the hill, nice and chill, nice and happy. We're just moving, 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 and moving. So yeah, no problems whatsoever for the little Berlingo. Let's just tighten that back up, and there we go. Now, ignoring the gears, the acceleration, all that sort of stuff that realistically I'm not qualified to talk about, I can just go, it feels nice. The actual driving experience. Am I comfortable? Is it nice? Is it calm? Is it relaxed? Do I feel like I'm wrestling? Not even a little bit at all for that length bit. The driving experience is very pleasant. As I've mentioned, the seats are really comfortable, they're really nice, especially this front driver's seat. It's got the bucketing on it, so I'm just kind of sat there, relaxed. Obviously these don't really have the bucketing, of course, as we've said, but I'm not sat there. So as a driver's experience, it's really good and I really like it. I don't drive this, I've done 3, 4, 5 hour long drives, if not longer, with this, and at no point have I really been going, blimey, I feel horrible, I feel disgusting, I hate driving this. I've just driven it and been relaxed, been content, been happy. So yeah guys, if you're worried about how it drives, how the experience is, are you going to hate the drive at all? Nah, not at all. Especially with all the driving aids as well. It's a really relaxed drive, really easy drive. It's just good. It is just good. For me, I can't really fault it. I'm sure there would be car heads and car heads and mechanics and all that sort of stuff that could come up with hundreds of faults for you guys. But from a DJ point of view, from an end user point of view, it's got a big thumbs up. It gets a solid 9 out of 10 for me. If I was being really picky, yeah, maybe I'd want a little bit more poke, but that's just me being really picky. So yeah, all in all guys, a solid 9 out of 10. Yeah, let's go and talk technology, shall we? That's where I'm going to thrive. Now guys, we move on to the technology part of the review, which arguably is where I'm perhaps debatably the best at. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some of the main key features for me, then go on to the kind of the screen, the technology and the sound and the audio and that sort of stuff with it. It's not going to be a full run through as such, but I will go through as much as I can. Now obviously, as I would have done, linked the specification for this. Obviously, as we've said, it's the driver model, so it's got a few more added extras and shiny things. So first thing we're going to mention, traffic sign recognition. Why do I say I'm going to start with that? Because we're just going through a bit where it's not quite working correctly. So this is 40 mile an hour, but it's seen a sign over there somewhere that says it's 30 mile an hour. So right now it's telling me it's 30 mile an hour. I know it's 40. There are plenty of signs around me telling me it's 40. It's now realised that, but it caught that attention of a different sign and changed. So what I'm trying to say is it's not infallible, that's the word I'm looking for. It works as well as you'd expect it to. It does what it needs to do. For the majority of the time, it will recognise those road signs and say this is 40, this is 30, this is national speed limit. Whatever it needs to do, it will do that as much as it can. And for the most part, it works flawlessly. There's just the odd thing now and then that it doesn't quite get right. One of the things on that I've seen it not quite nail is when it's going the wrong way. If there's a sign that says no entry that's at a different part of the road or somewhere near you, it will quite often get confused and think you've gone down the no entry. So it will just be flashing up at you going, whoa, what are you doing? Stop, you're going the wrong way. And sometimes I kind of, if I've not been paying attention enough, I sort of be like, hang on, am I? No, I'm not. I'm sure I'm not. But it's still there going, you're going the wrong way. So, as with every bit of technology on a van, on a car, on anything, you've got to take it with a bit of pinch of salt and a bit of common sense. It will not be 100%. It will do things that perhaps aren't quite spot on. You have to take it with a bit of common sense. That's that. Now, another really helpful but sometimes annoying feature is lane hold assist. Lane hold assist is, as it says, it will work out if you're in between the lines as long as you're going above a certain speed, which I think is around the 40-ish mile/an-hour mark. It will recognise you being between the two lines and do its best to keep you there. And again, for the majority of the time, really like it, really helpful. It's definitely saved me a couple of times when I've been perhaps looking out a window or something, or I've been driving down a narrow bit of road that I've not been quite sure on my distances of, and it's just helped me get that right. So yeah, again, for the most part, it's really helpful. It does get a little bit frustrating perhaps on some of like the B roads and those sort of roads where you might sort of drift over, or you're taking a bit more of a line if there's no one around, where it might not get it quite right and it might be forcing you to go a way that's kind of unsafe for you to try and drive like that. So it does get turned off now and then, as I say, mainly down like B roads and roads that I've got a bit more space on as such, or narrower like that. So yeah, again, really good, really like it for the most part. It's just now and then you might get a little bit like, oh, okay, stop, and leave me alone on it. So that's that. Really worth having though. It's when I first got this and I was driving down from Leeds, obviously, if anyone, as everyone who's seen that video knows, when I first got it, driving down the motorway and the dual carriageway and everything with this was extremely helpful, because I obviously didn't know my distances, I didn't know the width and the size and everything of the vehicle, so being able to have something that was helping me guide that was extremely beneficial, So yeah, it's definitely worth getting in that point of view. Ignore my puzzled looks, I'm just trying to work out what's going on with the this roadworks here. Don't know what's going on. We'll work it out, won't we? So yeah, that's that. Then, speaking of speed and driving and everything, we have got our lane hold assist. Sorry, not lane hold assist, this is what I've just talked about. We have got our cruise control. So, the cruise control is obviously both cruise control and limit. So it will allow you to drive off at whatever speed you want and keep that speed for you. That's what cruise control does, right? It's pretty simple. It's not adaptive cruise control, and it will only do it when you're above a certain speed, but it works, again, it works as you'd expect it to do. It's a cool little feature that a lot of vans don't have that I like, and having cruise control has been very helpful. I've never used limit, I've never once done it, but the cruise control is beneficial and helpful and I do like it. So yeah, those are the main steering-y things around this sort of area here. Obviously on my dash, I've got all my options for my like GPS, your tracking for your miles an hour, your miles per gallon, all that sort of stuff. It's all on your center dial there. I keep it on my miles per hour screen just because I find that's just the best place for me to have it. Now, the biggest two things for this I'm going to keep to now. Obviously the screen, which we'll talk about in a moment, and our big camera at the top. That big camera at the top is both a rear view mirror, side view mirror, and a reversing camera. I say both, that's three things I know. What do I mean by that? Well, one, at the moment, it's showing me what's behind me, and I'll show you this a bit more when we've stopped. It's showing me what's behind me. It's acting exactly as a rear view camera. I can see there's a grey Toyota behind me. It's got a nice little orange line that tells me where it's kind of safe for me to pull out or in front of someone. It just gives me that little bit of extra feedback that I don't get, because obviously I've got a big bulkhead there. I can't see behind me. Having a rear view camera on this is so good. When I test drove this, I didn't test drive this model, I test drove the model below it, which obviously didn't have that camera. And when I drove this one with the camera, oh my goodness, my life changed. I'll admit I didn't realise, I thought you had to keep pressing the button on the camera to change the view. I didn't realise it was on the sticker touch, so that I just had to tap that button and it would then start working. Found that one out the hard way when I eventually was like swinging through the menus. I know, and I've just worked out why everyone's going that way, because they're all cutting in that way and then cutting back up there. Sneaky, sneaky. But yeah, the rear view mirror, as I say, it shows me my passenger side obstructions as well as my rear obstructions. So that means that I can see what's going on behind me. I've got my reversing sensor, so when I want to park, and I can see if anyone's trying to come up on the side of me. Cyclists, those sort of things. If I'm curbside parking on that side, obviously that's where my door is. That is very, very valuable and very helpful, and saves me a bit of kind of concern and time on that. So that screen, as I say, I'll show you in a bit more detail, but it's, yeah, I would struggle without it. I really like it, and I've really become accustomed to it. It's very beneficial, and for me, it's quite probably the standout feature of this is that camera. Yeah, totally love it without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, you know. Obviously, in terms of other stuff, it's got all your basics with your automatic windscreen, automatic lights, all those sort of things. It has, it uses what you'd expect really, kind of these days. Perhaps not from a van, but from a normal vehicle you'd probably expect it. Like I say, this spec, technology wise, is like a car. It's got so many things that cars have that, for me, driving it reminds me so much of just like a big car, because it's got all these cool little things with the technology. It's got the lane hold, it's got the GPS, it's got the sound, it's got the cameras, it's got automatic lights, it's got cruise control, it's got all this sort of stuff that's just really fantastic. Now, before we go onto the screen, there was one other thing I was going to mention. It's kind of the in-between between the automatic braking and nothing at all. It warns me if I'm not braking, okay? So what do I mean? Well, I mean, if I was to drive at that BMW in front of me, it would get a bit upset at me and say, whoa, you should probably be braking, you're not slowing down enough. It won't do anything about it, but it will tell you you probably should be doing something yourself. Now, it's all well and good. I would love it to brake for me, but it doesn't, and it's not going to. So that's a bit of an annoyance, but it is what it is. But it's a bit sensitive. If I'm driving down a road where there's cars on either side, and obviously you're having to move in between the cars to get around cars or whatever you need to do, it will get a bit over the top and kind of just go, whoa, what are you doing? There's a car there. And you're like, well, I know there's a car there, I'm trying to avoid the car. And it's like, no, there's a car there, you've got to be careful. Let's just move out of the way of these bikers, because we're lovely people. And that's where I can use my side view mirror and go, oh, there's enough space there. So yeah, it's good on that respect, but it does get a little bit panicky. It does sort of go, whoa, Kyle, you're not doing anything. You should be moving out of the way, but you know yourself, because you're using your eyes, that you don't need to worry about it, because it's just you moving in between cars that are on a road. That being said, it has helped me a couple of times where I've been at the same time, me and him have noticed at the same time there's a car stopped in front of us, and it just gives you that little extra, oh, I really should be braking, because you've seen it, you know, and you're braking quite hard, but then also this flashing up on the dashboard going, whoa, stop, also just gives you that little extra visual and auditory reminder of, yeah, I definitely do need to do something about this, because otherwise I'm going to crash. So yeah, no complaints on that score. It really does help you there. All this sort of stuff, as I say, is fantastic, because you wouldn't expect it on a van. You don't get this sort of technology on a van, and for me that's phenomenal, and I love that. So yeah, that's all I want to say for this. I say the spec's going to be there. I don't have any extras above what it already comes with, but it comes with a heck of a lot. So yeah, definitely check it out. We're going to park up in a second. We're going to take a look at the screen, round up. So yeah, speak in a moment. Now, I said we're going to talk about this screen, which is what we're going to do quickly. Obviously, you've got your buttons here to turn it off, turn it back on, when it wants to. There we go. It will ask you to accept, we'll accept. And that is our rear view mirror. That is a perfectly functioning rear view mirror. There is that yellow line we were talking about, orange line, whatever you want, which will allow me to know when I'm in an appropriate place to pull out or move back in front of someone. If I press this button just here on my steering wheel, that will change to my side view. As you can see, that is that view from that mirror there, but just pointed a little bit down. It's got a little bit better view, so I can really see what's going on, and I can easily switch between the two. I pop this into reverse, we get our rear view camera. As you can see, it's got marks for where the doors will open and close. It's got nice easy grids, and if I was to turn the steering wheel, which I can't because the engine's not on, let me just turn that on, I would see that it moves my marker, telling me where I should go. Really, really beneficial. And as part of that, we get parking sensors. As you can see, my front parking sensor is getting triggered by a branch there. That's front and rear parking sensors on this, guys. Front and rear, and a rear view camera. Just phenomenal. The tech for this is great. That camera is invaluable, as I've said, guys. I really like it. It really does a job. Now, the final last thing I really wanted to discuss with you guys is this screen. Here it is. Now, we're in kind of our settings car mode here, which, as you can see, gives us loads of options about what we want to do for the parking, what we can do for our headlights, all of that sort of stuff. Do I want it to be able to guide me home? How long do I want that to go for? Do I want it to be short, medium, long? What do I want it to do? It gives me all these options and all the choices that I need. And we're getting stared out by a man there. Scary, scary. It gives us all of the options, all of the choices that we need. And again, comfort, we can just go through this menu and really work out what we want and what we need to get out of all of this. As you can see, if we go through some of these, obviously safety wise, it's got the anti-safety, the active safety brake, sorry. You can choose how much it wants to be, whether we want to be really cautious or really not cautious. We're on normal. Got the speed display stuff, which tells me a bit about it. It gives me information as to what these are. If I'm not sure, it will tell me. Speed display, traffic sign recognition, driver attention warning, comfort, all these sort of things that I can just choose and change. Driving functions, do I want my headlamps, parking sensors, all this sort of stuff is simply here. I've then got my settings and my profiles. Again, I've got my profile here, but if I was to cycle through, there's another profile which will load for me. As you can see, that's different, and all the settings are different. So if I was somebody else coming into this car, I could choose my profile and load it up, and that will then load my profile, load my settings, and there it goes. There it is. What do I want to do about the color scheme? What colors do I want? What are my audio settings? As you can see, I've played about with that a lot. Do I want the screen off? What other options do I have? My system settings. All these sort of things are changeable in the menus. Now, a lot of people say this screen is extremely complicated to use, and I kind of get it from some aspects. When you want to go through the settings, while it is incredibly easy, it's not at the same time. There's menus upon menus, and getting to the menu can be a bit difficult. If I want to select music, I've got my music options. I can scroll through the choices, presets, everything like that. It's clearly there. I've got my car choices, I've got my navigation, all this sort of stuff gives me those choices. My phone, all of that is there. Now, obviously for me, the interesting part is obviously I've got Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay. If you have iPhone, it it will load it, connect it to my phone, and then there we are. We've got Android Auto going. We can go through our Spotify, we can go through Waze, we've got all this sort of stuff with Android Auto, and in a screen that looks very good. If that's what that's what it looks like when I'm kind of driving. Obviously, if I had that on there, that screen looks fantastic. It's clear, it's concise, it's really easy to use, and it's just skip forwards, back and next. Simple as you like. Yeah, so the screen for me, really easy, really useful. I can see how for some people it could be complicated. For me, I find it nice and simple, nice and easy, but I work in technology. I can see how it's a bit convoluted and things are a bit harder to see. Like I was saying with the dash, we can kind of see our traffic sign recognition with the speed limit there, sorry. And our various options, like there you go, our lane hold assist. I don't know what this one does. If anyone knows, please do let me know in the comments. I really don't know what that one does. I really should look at the manual sometime and find out, but oh well. Kind of what we've been doing since we've reset it, and what our current stuff is, and yeah, our speed. So everything here is nice and simple. The dash itself is simple there. It doesn't get much simpler. It's not particularly entertaining, but it doesn't need to be. Obviously our cruise control is there. Again, it doesn't need to be overly complicated. It does what it does. Our automatic windscreens, all this sort of stuff. It doesn't need to be complicated. It just does what it needs to do. As for audio, now as you can see in here, in the audio settings, they are not particularly great. I have had to properly rinse up the settings on this to get it sound anywhere near like what I want. Bass has had to go right up, mids have got to go up, treble stayed where it is, because they're very shrill and very shrieky and very top heavy. Now I'm expecting probably too much. The speakers aren't great, they go loudish, but I think most of the time I've got this anywhere between 12, 13 if I want it quiet, and like 20 if I actually want it loud and pumping. And it only goes up to 30, so that's not particularly loud. The speakers aren't fantastic, they're never going to be. You've got a speaker and a speaker on each side, and that's it. And again, this van isn't designed for that, so I'm not surprised, but it's just, don't expect anything amazing, guys, out of this. It will play music, it will sound okay, certain songs will sound better than others. It's just, it is what it is. It's okay. It's, yeah, it's speakers at the end of the day, guys. In a van, they're never going to be fantastic. They do what they need to do, but they're never going to be great. So yeah, that is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, guys. Let me just pop you back up. So to summarize this review, let's just turn that up a little bit so I'm a little bit cooler. To summarize the review, externally it's okay. It's a van, it's never going to be fantastic, it's never going to be so sexy you want to show it off at the car meet, but it's not bad. It's not bad van, it's not bad looking at all. The alloys are nice, the looks are fine. It's a van and it looks okay. Load area is good, lots of space, more than you think there is. But as always with these sort of things, guys, take a look, make your own judgment up for that. I took this for a bit and did a test load, loaded all my stuff on and saw if it fit. For a DJ, it's got more than I need. I can't fit photo booths in, I can't fit love letters or anything like that in, but I don't do that, so that's not a concern for me. If you do have that, you might struggle, so you might want to go for something bigger. Inside the cabin, the storage and everything, the storage is fantastic. There's so much inside here, and the interior of this is fantastic. It really surprises me how nice it is in here. I'm a big fan. As a car, I wouldn't be disappointed whatsoever. As a van, I'm extremely impressed. So yeah, really, really good from that point of view. Seating, well, in a video very soon, if you're watching this, or a video you might see at some point, I will be talking about why this perhaps is not perfect for that. But as a van, for that point of view, for carrying stuff around, the seats are more than adequate. You've got a comfortable driver's seat. This is comfy, this is nice, it's soft, it's smooth, it holds me in, it's good. I've got no complaints about my seat. These guys do. Middle seat is a bit of a nightmare. End seat's fine. It's not massively comfortable, but it's fine. So yes, seating is okay, but from my point of view as the driver, fine. Technology, fantastic. More than as I've said before, this has got more technology than my Audi did, and that is unbelievable because it's a van. It's a van, guys. It's got so much technology. It's got all your automatic stuff. It's got that amazing camera, that amazing screen. It's got loads of cool little features that you just don't expect on a van. So for me, that nails it, and yeah, fantastic. Totally good. Technology great. Sound, meh, okay. Again, I've got to remember it's a van and it's not going to be fantastic. It's a van and it is what it is. That's what I've got to remember. So yeah, that sums up my little review here, guys. Would I recommend this van as a van? 100%, totally, no doubt in my mind. I love the spec, I love the tech, I love the drive, I love everything about this as a van. It's great. So yeah, get it if you're looking at it as from a van point of view. I like the other spec. If I was to look at this, obviously you've got the beginning, middle and end spec, so it's low, medium and high, however you want to say it. Obviously I think it's Enterprise is the one below, and Driver's this one. Maybe Standard is the one in the beginning. I probably wouldn't get that from my point of view, but if you want something just to hold stuff in, then fine. Enterprise has a bit more features and it's nicer, and I think it has the screen, but the driver spec, as I say, really does what it says it does on the name. It's for more driving people, for people who are driving around more and want that, and I wanted that, so I got that. The camera's fantastic, everything's great. Yeah, that's it, guys. I'm rambling now. If you're debating it, do it. It's fantastic. I love it from a van point of view. Just get it.